Far east of the Sword Coast, the Shadowvar and Discoverin have fallen. The Shadow Storm is no more. Sembia is fractured into city-states. A mysterious hero rises from the ashes to usher in a new era of prosperity. Yet there is still suffering. Cormyr and the wild elves of the Dalelands offer war on all sides. Earth motes, madness, and shadow dragons plague the lands. These are the tales of the heroes who ended that suffering. 1491 DR, the year of Sembian revival.
I really didn't think we would make it to Archenbridge before the Helms found us.
We've been on the road for 6 days after the Corinthal estate. They would have had time to catch us, if they wanted to.
Fargo Penrit knew exactly who we were from the moment he saw us enter Serb.
How can you be sure?
It was not luck that allowed us to find the phylactery in Serb, or good fortune that prompted the Helm escort to Fairhaven.
I thought you believed in playing the odds, Jindal.
Playing the odds is exactly why I know a fixed game when I see one.
I asked Kien about the Red Wash after the Battle of Rumblecoats.
What did he say?
Well, first he told me that my choice of holiday has changed drastically in the last 20 years.
He thinks you've come all the way from Jarliel just to visit the battle site?
Kien and I go back a long way. My first few days living in Jarliel ended with he and I going cliff diving with the Foxmantle twins.
Ugh, Ciran. What does that have to do with anything?
But my point is, after that weekend, nothing I do is going to surprise Kien.
Did you lose track of him after that?
We were both so young. He came here to Archenbridge to make his fortune, and eventually took over here as proprietor of the Drunken Lion.
The Drunken Lion is a landmark here in the Dalelands, but I was surprised you wanted to come here. Look around at the clientele.
There's soldiers of sorts.
They are called the Ridesmen, or Arken Riders. They are the standing military of Arkendale.
There are a fair number of Helms scattered about here, too.
That is something else Kien told me about.
Well, hello there. Friends of Lord Ciran are always welcome here in my establishment.
Lord Ciran?
Kien, I think it'd be best if the details of that weekend with the twins stays between us.
Of course, Your Eminence.
Anyway, I was just about to tell them what you told me about Archenbridge and Sembia.
Oh, yes. Do you see all of the ravens running about here?
Do you mean the Helms?
Yeah, ravens is what we call them here in the Dales. Anyway, there have been more and more Helms coming into the city since Aldond began courting the swords.
You mean bribing the swords?
Who are the swords?
The swords are the leaders of the military here in Archenbridge.
Yes, there are 3 swords here that lead the riders, and they are involved in most of the important decisions that go on here in Archenbridge.
I wouldn't worry about Sembia. The Dales folk are too proud to be bought by Selgond.
You would have thought they would learn their lesson. This isn't the first time that the economic power to the south has tried to sway the loyalties of Archenbridge, but now the wealth of Aldon is quite persuasive.
That's actually why we are here.
I heard. You want to know more about Rumblecoats?
Not just Ramblecoats, but we are also here to learn more about the time the Helms occupied the lower city after the battle.
I remember. Those were some gruesome times. We all went down to the ford and helped pull bodies out of the River Arken. For 2 days, we fished out the young soldiers from both sides. We took the riders into the fort at Sword Point, and the ravens were carted over to Heward's Mill. There was no appetite for more fighting after that battle.
I know these memories must be difficult for you, Kien, but do you know anyone who might have been involved with the Helm's funerary rites?
Those were handled mostly by the Helms themselves. Dale's folks did our best to handle the bodies of the ridesmen.
Think, Kien. Did any of those Helms stay here in Archenbridge after the battle?
Sure, a few.
Do you know where we could find them?
Ciran, why are you so interested in the Battle of Rumblecoats? This isn't a holiday for you, is it?
Kien, it's always business.
Unless, it seems, you are cliff diving?
Well, there is a crazy old helm that lives uptown, up past Marketfield. He has a small little townhouse on the hill.
Do you have his name?
Sure, it's Rion, if I remember it right.
Thank you, Kien. We appreciate this information quite a lot.
Of course. Now, if I could offer you some advice, if you plan on going up north to Ramblecoats, I would recommend disguising yourself, lass. Shadowvar are even less welcomed in the Dales than they are in Sunday.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you, friend. If we are able, we will stop by again on our way back south.
Goodbye, your lordship. After all these years, it's nice to see that one of us is still out having an adventure.
So, Matoa, did you know Ciran before he turned into such a stuffed shirt?
Hey, come on.
Ciran and I have known each other even before his cliff jumping days.
You both are from Westgate, right?
That's right. We grew up in a rough neighborhood that was controlled by the Night Masks.
I wouldn't have changed anything about Westgate.
No, it is certainly what molded us. Ciran, you developed your shrewd business mind.
And you developed an aversion for the criminal underground. Enter Matoa the Harper.
I cannot argue with that. We are very much products of Westgate.
You mean byproducts of Westgate?
We are here.
You think maybe Rion could use a gardener?
Yes, the Verge needs some attention.
This yard needs more than that. It needs a paladin turning.
I'll knock.
Sonia, maybe it would be best if someone else knocked.
Oh, yes, that's right. Good idea.
I'll do it.
Yes? Who is it? Don't answer it. Quiet. I'm going to answer it.
Hello, my good man. Are you by chance the former helm named Rion?
Well, it's a good thing we didn't have Sonia knock on the door.
Maybe we don't immediately lead in with his helm past?
He is probably afraid that one day the Helms will come looking for him for deserting.
Especially now that the helms are showing up more around town.
Excuse me, Mr. Rion. I didn't mean to frighten you. We aren't helms here to take you back to the capital.
Much better, monk.
Rion, we have reason to believe that something happened to Aldond Talendar when he was here in the Dales. We can assure you we are no agents of Selgant. You have nothing to fear from us.
They wouldn't have called him Aldond if they were Helms. Shh! I know them. Be quiet, or else they will think we are crazy.
Mr. Rion, thank you for hearing us out. Listen, we have no love for Aldon or the Helms, but we have reason to believe that something very unnatural happened here in Archenbridge after the Battle of Rumblecoats.
Yes, it surely did. Tell them about the sword. Quiet! I know that. No one else heard it that day, but I did. They all said I was crazy, but I know what I heard. And what I saw.
Can you tell us?
When I pulled Aldon out of the River Arken that day, I didn't know who he was. He had the Talendar crest on his armor, of course, so I knew he was an officer.
Please go on.
He was probably the 10th helm body I pulled out of the river that day. The rest of the bodies were stiff and bloated from being in the water. His body was different.
What do you mean?
His limbs were soft to the touch, flexible. He had no observable wounds. Looking at him there on the grass, he looked as if he was sleeping.
Did you say you heard whispering?
I'll never forget what I heard that day. I was wheeling him down to the mill. That's where we burned the bodies. And I noticed the sword he was holding for the first time. He was grasping it so tightly that I would have to break his fingers to pry it loose. And that is when I heard it.
What did it say?
It was a female voice. She said, "With this blade, I thee raise, to follow the darkness for all your days."
What did you do?
I stopped pushing the cart. It was everything I could do not to run away as fast as I could. But I was compelled to stay. That's the only word that feels right. I couldn't take my eyes off of the blade. I wanted to touch it.
Did you touch it?
Yes. And what I saw when I touched it, well, it changed me.
What did you see?
There is a cave on the river in Ramblecoats, behind a series of falls. I could see clearly the red-stained hills, a bank of purple flowers along the river's edge, and farther upstream, the cave.
What else do you remember about the cave?
Don't tell them anything else. I can't. Tell them goodbye. I really can't think about that day any longer. But whatever you do, don't go to the cave. Please. She is there. Goodbye.
Jendal, you have such a way with people.
That wasn't Jendal's fault. He was clearly uncomfortable thinking about that day.
Yet, I get the feeling this was the first time someone had listened to him, knowing that he was speaking the truth.
So, I guess we're going to the scary cave with the voice.
I'm all packed. I'm ready when you are.
We're getting close to something. I can feel it.
It looks that way, my friend.
Oh well. At this point, the only way to go is deeper.
Though this marks the end of the episode, the tale continues within a 10-day. Join us at longwinded.one and consider giving us a review on Apple Music, Spotify, or really whichever platform you choose.